Okay, so now comes the fun part where we get to bring all these elements together. And I'll mention again that everything that we've gone through so far, they're all steps that are kind of a one-time deal. You know, when we're adding a song to our library, we're creating our TouchOSC song label page. We're creating our Ableton song session. Those are one-time processes. Now those are in our library. They're ready to go moving forward. We don't have to keep redoing that every week. So this is the point where we're looking at our weekly prep process. So we're going to start with our session template. We're going to do save as, and we'll call it, I actually like to name it the same thing as our TouchOSC file. So I can just tap on that name. It's going to populate the same name for our session. So now we can go ahead and start adding our songs. So we're going to come over to our browser in our shortcut here, go to our songs folder. First song is going to be The Joy. So we're going to open that up. And then remember how we set that loop bracket before we finished building the session? Now is where that comes into play. So I'm going to just click out here into the timeline, and I'm going to hit Command-Shift-L. And that is going to select everything in the session within the range of that loop bracket, including the master tempo automation. And I can just do Command-C to copy. I can go back over to my Sunday session. I click up here in the very top track, very first bar. I'm going to do Command-Shift-V, which is paste time. So it's not just going to paste the audio or all the clips. It's going to actually insert that entire section of timeline, again, including the tempo. Okay, so we're going to hit save. We're going to come over and we're going to go to Mighty Name of Jesus. Same thing, Command-Shift-L, Command-C copy, over here to Sunday. I'm going to go four bars past the end of the click of song 1. Command-Shift-V, paste time, there's song 2. Save, pop back over to Worthy. Command-Shift-L, Command-C copy. You see how quickly we can build out a set list once the individual songs are prepped, okay? So everything's copied over, with one exception. You'll notice that there are no locators. This is something I really hope someday we can do in Ableton, where we can copy locators, copy and paste locators between sessions. As of the filming of this video, there is no way to do that. That's where these the song arrangement clips are going to play a huge role in that. So what we're going to do is we're going to select each one, and this might look a little tedious, but you can actually get very, very quick at it. And if you're an Ableton Suite user, there's a Max for Live plugin called Locator Manager that actually will do this automatically for you. It's really, really nifty. But we're going to do it manually right now. So basically select each clip and use our / shortcut key to add locators at the start of all of our song sections. So you can see how it's still pretty quick even doing it manually. Okay. And then this is a step that is actually optional to add the names into the locators in this session. The reason that I will still do it, even though we have the names right here, is if your groups are expanded and you scroll down to kind of see what's going on in one of these lower groups, that channel disappears. You can't see it anymore. So at that point, the locators are the only visual reference you have of what section you're in. So another thing that the more you do it, the quicker you get at it, and you can actually get through a whole session pretty quickly. This is also the process where you can very easily start to talk yourself into abbreviating section names and save yourself some typing. Doesn't really bother me, so I go ahead and type them all the way out. It's also worth mentioning that if you are a Suite user and are looking into that that plugin, if you are in Ableton 12, that plugin will also populate the names of the clips into the locator names as it's automatically creating them for you. So that is an incredible tool and can speed things up very dramatically. Oh, can't type and talk at the same time. Okay. So you can see just a few minutes of typing and everything is set. So at this point, we are ready to map to our iPad. So we've got Bridge open, one USB connection. iPad is connected here. I've got a little screen share of my iPad. So you can kind of see as I punch the buttons on the iPad what's going on. So we're going to come over here, and up here, this MIDI button enables MIDI map mode. You can also use the shortcut Command M, and everything that turns purple in the session is MIDI mappable. It means I can assign a MIDI control to it. So before we dig into this, super quick heads up is if you have like your fader controller sitting nearby, maybe it's in front of you, I would say set that aside, unplug it for the moment, because when you're in MIDI map mode, Ableton is looking for any incoming MIDI message from a device that has remote enabled on the input. So that means that if I'm MIDI mapping from my iPad and I accidentally bump a fader on my fader controller, it will overwrite the last thing I hit on the iPad with that fader message. And if I don't catch it, that means that I touch that fader when we're live, it's going to jump to this locator. So you just have to be aware when you're MIDI mapping that you're not accidentally bumping other controls that might be nearby. So that's why I say just set other things aside, unplug it temporarily while we're MIDI mapping. So now I'm just going to click on each locator that I want to map. I'm going to press the corresponding button on the iPad. And I'm going to use the second intro because that's the full band intro. Pre-chorus, chorus. And there's like a chorus B that's on my my iPad. That is there because it's helpful for me to have on like my keys notes, and I usually just create one layout that I use for both my keys and running tracks. So there's occasionally a locator that might not be super necessary. Oh, this is actually labeled incorrectly, verse 2. Every once in a while there's a locator that might be extra on the track side that I'll just kind of decide in the moment if I want to map it or not. We'll go ahead and map it today though. Bridge B. Okay, here's that. Chorus B again. Tags. Outro. End. And our click loop. And the one thing I'm noticing as I'm going through this is we don't have those time signature changes to change the grid coloring. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick so we can see how now it's lined up. Turn, verse, pre-chorus, and chorus. And when you do that again here, Again, optional part of the process, just if you are a little visually OCD like I am, it might be helpful. Okay, song 1 done. Mighty Name of Jesus. Map count off, intro. And again, I know it's probably tedious to just watch all of this, but I wanted to show the full process. And this is another one of those examples of that build locator. I think I had it referenced because I wanted the notes when I'm playing and MDing. All right, and we're going to look at this section in our demonstration, this reprise chorus. This can be a cool thing to get familiar with. It's basically a way to have an optional section of the song that maybe you don't know for sure that you want to do every time. But if you do it, you go, man, I'd really love to be able to have the tracks, but I don't want to commit to doing it every time. And that's an example of that. Sometimes we'll reprise the bridge and another chorus of Mighty Name of Jesus. But I don't want the tracks to automatically roll into that, because we want that to obviously feel more natural and spontaneous. Like, we don't want to just always reprise. We don't want to assume that it's always going to be, that's always going to be something that we want to do. Okay. All right, so this session is essentially done at this point. If we were going to change keys for any of these songs, we would come in here and, double click, and I would shift click, select everything. Command click to unselect. Some perk tracks you have to check. Some of them actually have like melodic toms going on, so when you pitch the song, you also need to pitch the perk track. If it doesn't, though, I always prefer to leave that unpitched. So if we wanted to change this, say we're going from C sharp, we want to move it down to the key of C, then we would select all of them. Always enable warp first before you make any additional changes. That makes sure that Ableton kind of gets a snapshot and goes, okay, here's our baseline. Here's our starting point from it, whether it's tempo or key. Ableton goes, all right, here's the unaffected baseline. And now we can pitch down. We're going to go -1, enter. And now everything has been moved down to C. So with everything pitched down, then I would just come up here and update the song label clip to say C. That way we know that everything has been pitched down. So if I hit play, I'm going to hear key of C. And one quick note, if you're pitching vocal stems, to always use Complex Pro. That warp algorithm is the best to use on vocals. It keeps them sounding the most natural. There's, of course, a limit to pitching. You can only pitch so far before things just start to become unusable. So, but this is definitely the one to use for vocals. Okay, so with that, this session is essentially ready to go. All the songs are there, all the mappings are done, and iPad's files there ready to go, and we're ready to roll into rehearsal. Let's go ahead and head into the next video where we're going to look at seeing this in action.